Welcome back to Year by Year, and the year tonight is 1982. Guys, welcome back to Year by Year. I just got to say, the first two videos I've done with this, the response has been wonderful. I really thank you guys for getting involved and getting on this so early. I'm having a blast. Initially, I was going to do these like every week. But hell no, I'm pumping these out every couple of days because your enthusiasm is my enthusiasm. And part of that enthusiasm is some of the feedback I get. So before we hit into 1982, I actually need to rewind quickly back to 1981 to mention these three films, which I can't believe I missed off the list, but I did because I'm human. And let's have a look at the films I need to mention from 1981. And that is, can you believe this? Yes, Cannonball Run. An amazing film. I reckon I've seen that film 50 times. Absolute joy. The Evil Dead. How could I forget about one of the most iconic horror films of that year? And of course, the legendary Heavy Metal. So thanks to Jay Gibbons for letting me know that. You are a legend, sir, as always. But like I said, the year is 1982 tonight. So we're getting into what is, I mean, let's face it, when it comes to powerhouse years in modern cinema, there's only a few years I can think of. Three, in fact. 1982 it's definitely one of them. All right. So let's, before we get into that, though, again, I'd just like to point out, guys, here on the Jason Warren Ghosted channel, me and Jason have actually reviewed a lot of these movies. So please don't forget after this to go over to the VHS Vault, check out our playlist. We have done so many reviews. It's amazing. But we've got to start it off with, well, we're going to start with May 14th, 1982, was the release of, yes, Conan the Barbarian. One of the most, well, the definitive sword and sandals type of movie of that era. There was nothing like it. Obviously made Arnold Schwarzenegger a household name all around the world. Directed by the wonderfully talented John Milius. And of course, if you're going to have Conan the Barbarian, what type of actor do you have to cast against him to be the bad guy? James L. Jones, right? He's the only one I could think of that could stand up to Arnold, so that was a great choice. Fantastic movie, iconic. And yes, I'm one of those who was still hoping that one day we'll get a King Conan movie. God bless. But that's amazing. 2 and a bit weeks later, you had a really strange June 4th because that was the release of Badoom, Poltergeist. Now, my God, what a almost perfect scare film. I don't know if it's a horror film. It's more like a film that gives you lots of jump scares and a couple of gross moments. But Poltergeist is amazing, right? Because it brought this type of scenario into the suburban home and done with this. I mean, it's terrifying, but there's a bit of whimsy to it. There's a bit of charm to it. Poltergeist, oof, what a classic. And one of those films that, although visually it looks dated to 1982, damn, it still holds up, people. It holds up. Go check out Poltergeist. But if you didn't want to go and see Poltergeist on June 4th, what was a man to do? Well, he could go see this little film that no one's ever heard of. That's right. On the same day, you have Poltergeist and Star Trek II Wrath of Khan. Now, for some people, Star Trek II The Wrath of Khan, they're like, who cares? I care. I'm a Trek fan. This, I mean, it's between 2 and 6 for me. It kind of rotates between those two. What's my favorite? But let's face it, Star Trek II saved the film franchise. I mean, honestly, after the mixed reviews and lowered expectations, like the lower box office returns Paramount got, they were scared. They needed to make a change. And I can guarantee you, as they were making this, they were not confident that it was going to go any further, especially Leonard Nimoy, who said, kill me. So it was at risk and it was a chance. But my lord, what an excellent film! And essentially, directed by the great Nicholas Meyer. Jason Roy Gaston, who's on this channel, was also a part of Captain Squadron, and they interviewed the man, Nicholas Meyer. But what he did, he approached this like a submarine movie. And it may not make sense now if you haven't seen it, but check it out. Star Trek True, The Wrath of Khan. I dare say anybody watching this is probably a huge Wrath of Khan fan. You have to be, right? Just Ricardo's chest alone. It's a thing of beauty. So you're thinking already this year, I've seen Conan the Barbarian. Boom. I've seen Poltergeist. I've seen Star Trek 2. That on its own would make for an unbelievable summer. But a week later, boom, you're off to see E.T. the Extraterrestrial. 1 week later, after those two films, which was 2 weeks later after Conan, you've got E.T. Now, I don't know in the US, but in Australia, this movie played for almost a fucking year. It was in theaters, and I remember it. You could be like, it was like one summer holidays to the next summer holidays. E.T. was still playing. Bums on seats. Epic, right? You want to know a little secret? My wife is terrified by it. I have known my wife for 33 years, and she has never seen E.T. Well, she's seen it. It's terrified her, but she's never seen it with me. There you go. I'm sorry, Megan. The world needed to know that. All right, let's move on. Okay, so you've had enough. I can't handle it anymore. Well, the next film is going to surprise you too, because on June 25th, and this is only 2 weeks later from E.T. So E.T. comes out, right? And then you're going, okay, well, what could possibly, everything else is just going to be crap from here. No, 2 weeks after seeing E.T., you would have wanted to go and see Blade Runner. Harrison Ford, Ridley Scott, a sci-fi epic. So different than what we were seeing on the screens at the time, which is in the era of Star Wars. And you think, Han Solo in another science fiction film? And it's not what you expect. This is a neo-noir thriller that has philosophical underpinnings, interpretive scenes. Harrison Ford is amazing. Sean Young is amazing. But Ruta Haga steals the film. This is iconic. What more can I say about Blade Runner? I will say, though, when I saw it at the cinema as a kid, being a 8-year-old when this came out, didn't kind of grab me. This grabbed me when I was a teenager, when I saw it on video, but when I saw it at the cinema, I'm like, boring. I want to go watch a Looney Tunes movie. But there you go, Blade Runner. But you know what? You didn't want to see Blade Runner that day. So what else is going to open the same day? Of course, only The Thing. Again, on the same fucking day, they released Blade Runner and The Thing together. What a double billing. You imagine that night, you're like, I got nothing to do, man. I'm just going to go to the movies. And you go, I'm going to hang around. Because people did that back in the day. They got nothing to do. They just hang out. They just keep watching movies. And you go, all right, I'll see Blade Runner. Imagine seeing those two films in the same night. Head exploding stuff, right? So we need a bit of joy, I think, at this point, don't we? We need something to uplift your spirits at the cinema. A lot of headiness. And there's nothing like an animated movie to cheer you up and make you feel good about yourself. Oh, no, it's The Secret and Vim. Whew. Great film, but, man, get the tissues. It's one of these really sad animated films. Not in quality. The quality's awesome. It's just the storyline's sad. It's going to make you cry. But a wonderful film. And I support it too because it was the break-off for some animators away from the Disney structure to do their own thing. Mate, it needs to lighten it up a little bit, but The Secret of Nim is worth talking about because it was in an era where animated films were not doing so well at the box office. This was at least a hit. All right, it's been a crazy summer. Surely it's over. No, we only have a little film called Tron that comes out a couple of weeks later. It's the cinema Tron. Now, I will say when I saw Tron in 1982, I went, it was cool, but I wasn't super in love with it because people who talk about Tron as a masterpiece, you're lying. There's a lot of things thematically and script wise that are wrong with this movie, but just the special effects alone, the innovation, and the concept of building a whole new universe, yeah, man, it's a good film. Certainly affected me as a kid. Now, I'm not going to cover all the films. You know, I've already missed out on some dramatic films, and I'll just mention Dinah, Victor Victoria in earlier the year. And around this time, we got The World According to Garp, which is a wonderful film with John Lithgow and Robin Williams. You should check that out. But I'm really talking about things that kind of hit me when I was a kid at the time in 1982. And the next one, which came out in August 6th, well, it had an effect on me, a strange one. And that is Pink Floyd, The Wall. Now, I had a couple of older brothers, right, who collected vinyl. One brother particularly who still has that vinyl kept away in perfect condition. We would hear a lot of great music throughout the house, especially when they were their teenagers, man. And Pink Floyd used to play all the time. Who doesn't love that song? And the film is so evocative and striking and well animated and just it's one of those experiences that stays with you when you leave the cinema. I know that sounds corny, but it legit does stay with you as you're moving forward. Pink Floyd, The Wall, man. If you haven't heard the album, go listen to the album. If you haven't seen the film, go see the film. It's one of those things, but it's also very, what you would say, artistically different. But yes, Pink Floyd, The Wall, classic. Finally, we're going to get to something funny, I think. And there is some funny stuff. Like also 1981, I never mentioned Porky's, which was great. And the only reason I mentioned Porky's, which I do love Porky's, because it actually brought a little bit of class to the teen sex comedy, because we're getting into that realm now. In the early to mid 80s, teen sex comedies were big business, coming of age, all that kind of thing. And the next one that came out in August 13 is probably an all-time great, right? And that is Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Spicoli. You know, what more can you say? Unbelievable cast in this, if you actually go through the cast. It's wonderful, but it's definitely Sean Penn's movie. And, I think everybody just thought that who was Sean Penn was. You know, you'd have to go watch other films like Taps and everything else. Oh, what's that movie he was with Christopher Walken? I can't remember. Hopefully you guys remember that. Some wonderful early performances that were just incredible. All right, man, what a year. I feel like I can't even take a breath here. What a year already. That here we are, it's August and I'm done. Well, it ain't over yet, because here comes probably the horror film for me that was really the lighter that lit the fuse of me being obsessed. And that was with Friday the 13th, Part 3 in 3D. Now, as a kid, I'd already loved Friday the 13th, Part 1 and Part 2, obviously. Part 3, they were doing it in 3D, man. I've never seen 3D before. Have you seen 3D before? I have not. And if you did see it in 3D, which I didn't, I couldn't, but the word was the kill effects were kind of cool. And you would know in the movie if you watch it on tape, because you could see them pushing stuff into the screen and all that 3D nonsense. And that was a fad also at that time. We'll talk more about that in 1983. And this one, the next one, for some reason in my head, I always thought it was made in 1979. But I was off by 3 years, because the next film is First Blood. First Blood, Stallone. Excellent film. Initially, it was 3 hours long, until Stallone realized, if I cut all my own dialogue, this movie actually becomes good. And that's what he does. And it's Sylvester Stallone's good in it. Richard Crenna's great in it, but it's Brian Dennehy playing the sheriff. He was such an asshole in this. Absolutely brilliant. Great film. Go check it out. It still lives in a world of realism before the sequel comes, and then we start to turn everything up to 11. And we'll get there in 1985. Okay, another favorite horror series of mine, and I certainly love this movie for a couple of sequences, especially, and that is Creepshow. Wasn't it? And you would have thought, oh, that's a Halloween film. It wasn't. It actually come out November 12th. So it seemed like a bit of a missed opportunity, but Creepshow is wonderful. We have definitely reviewed this on the VHS Vault, so please go and check out the VHS Vault because we have, like I said, reviewed a lot of these movies. And those we haven't, we will get to. All right. Now, we're also almost at December, if you can believe it. Now, December has an interesting thing because in one day in December, 3 films were released in one day. Now, I was going on about the 2 before, right? Which was mind-blowing. But how's this for a triple feature, all right? And I'll get on to one film on that day, 48 Hours. Now, everyone talks about Eddie Murphy in 48 Hours. And they're right. That was the first time I'd ever seen anything like that. But it's also Nick Nolte for me. Like, it was a 1-2 punch. Who are these guys? Excellent film. And really still, to this day, completely holds up. It works really well. And it's fun. And it's a slice of the time. And it deals with everything with such a plum and energy. It's absolutely phenomenal. I don't have the posters for the other 2 films that were released this day, but hold your horses, guys. 48 Hours, Gandhi, and Sophie's Choice. On December 8th, 1982, you had your choice of saying 48 Hours, Sophie's Choice, or Gandhi, back to back if you wanted to. You think it was good counter programming? So we'll let that go. But isn't that amazing? That just would never happen today. Like, there's this whole strategy that's built between the studios of when things are released so they can maximize their box office potential. And I felt back in the 80s, it was more about counter programming, more so than just, strategizing where they can make the most amount of money. But it's incredible. The next film I want to talk about of that year is a movie that surprised me, shocked me, I loved it, but also disturbed me. The Dark Crystal. Now, this, honestly, at this time in my life, it's all about the Muppets, the Muppet movies, right? That's what it's all about, those type of movies. I didn't think Jim Henson would make this type of film. But my Lord, how magnificent the film was. Dark Crystal, just such an identity on its own, and the puppetry was just phenomenal. I mean, hey, they did a sequel series, which was really great too, a few years ago. But this film is amazing. Go check it out again. It doesn't age because it's a different universe at a different time with different species. All right, we've only got a couple more left I want to talk about. One of them is, man, one of the great films, the great comedies. It brings a smile to your face. I don't know how people politically see it these days. I try to be on the right side of things sometimes. Sometimes I'm wrong. I'm human. And I'm a prick. What can I say? No, I'm talking about Tootsie. Dustin Hoffman's Tootsie. Hilarious film. Wonderful film. So just Dustin Hoffman is so electric in this. Jessica Lange is amazing in this. It's just, what can I say? What a great film. And he pulls it off so well. Everybody involved in this film. You've even got Bill Murray playing a supporting role in this as well. It's incredible. Tootsie, guys. Tootsie, which is absolutely amazing. And then finally, the last film I'm going to talk about the year. I saw it. I didn't understand it, but it's had such an impact on my film knowledge over the years. I have to mention it. And also, I believe it's one of the films that this film director, people forget about, but it's actually one of his great films. And I'm talking about King of Comedy, the Martin Scorsese film starring Robert De Niro and the great Jerry Lewis. This is a disturbing movie. It's messed up and it's great. And the performances by Jerry Lewis, especially, magic. Robert De Niro being as classical, and it's, I don't know. I think it was a bit of a flop. I haven't got the information in front of me over it, but I'm shocked because I do think it's one of Scorsese's more interesting projects. It's certainly a brave film to make, and I absolutely loved it. So, guys, they're the films that kind of made the most amount of impact for me for 1982. Now, clearly, I wouldn't have covered everything. There's probably a bunch of films I haven't spoken about. And if you want to be like some people who have already done this and left some wonderful comments on a YouTube channel, send me the movies that I've missed out on. Challenge me on some. You can agree with me, disagree with me. Tell me what I've done right and tell me what I've done wrong. At the same time, if you're doing that, if you could just press a like, if you could subscribe, if you're not subscribed, because it's not only me making content, this is the great Jason Roy Gaston pumping out some unbelievable content at the moment. And then there's us together. And that's where the magic happens. So, yeah, guys, if you could do that, continue to support our channel. Go check out our Patreon and our YouTube membership. You get a bunch of stuff early. It's really wonderful. All right, guys, next time we're doing 1983. And I'll tell you what, if you think about 83 with yeah, man, have I got a surprise for you next time. All right, guys.